Hola, buenos días, ¿qué tal? Bienvenidos a la clase. Bienvenidos means welcome a la clase, to the class. Just remember, the most important things are never study silently. Studying silently is as much use as a rubber beak on a woodpecker. You're actually disintegrating the very fabric that should mold your victory. Always study aloud. Slow is good. A bit of humor before we start, a joke. So yesterday I was at the old age home and I was seeing these two elderly gentlemen speaking to each other, and their wives were beside them having tea. I overheard the one gentleman say to the other gentleman, I went to the doctor yesterday and he gave me this medicine and it improved my memory so much. It's incredible. So the other elderly man said to him, well, what is the name of that medicine? So the other man said, what is that name of that flower? He asked the other man. It's long. It's got a long stem with thorns on it. And the other gentleman said, rose. So the other gentleman looked over to his wife and said, Rose, what's the name of that medication the doctor gave me? I thought that tickled me, that joke. Anyway, let's do some revision. Now remember, on page 1, we started with our initial dialogue. We learned our utterances to put them before ¿qué tal or before what is your name. You were able to combine the utterances together if you wanted to. We were able to do a positive singular dialogue using our adverbs, the mentes, having power over porque, meaning why and because, and answering the question that the person posed you when he said, why do you like a certain noun, by the preparation we did in lesson 1. I like whatever you're discussing because, and you know your 4 depth charges, and you said why the noun was positive with the appropriate adjective. And you know if it was a feminine adjective, the adjective, if it was a feminine noun, the adjective would end on a, and if it was a masculine noun, the adjective would end on o. Or you could have used your neutral adjectives that ended on e, that were in the red color for you. Then we went on to our next lecture, and I taught you what a doing word was. That any word that ended in 3 specific sounds, AR, ER, or IR, was to something. So basically, it was 1 word in Spanish and 2 words in English. And that's going to happen 99% of the time. So what we did in the beginning is we learned the rhythm for a singular male noun and a singular feminine noun. And then in the second lecture, we learned the 3 rhythms of how a verb ends, ar, ir. Because as I showed you with the chart, there's going to be an osmotic effect and a filtration effect that's going to bring forth an abundance. Because we're sowing the roots into the soil, therefore we shall have a harvest of abundance. Now, when we asked the question with, tell me, do you like to do anything? And we covered all these verbs. And you responded, yes, naturally, I like to do whatever the verb was. Then the person asked, why do you like to do that action? And in the answer, I asked you to write out in your jotter this page. And it was how to learn a verb over 40 ways, because if you had your 10 adjectives and your 4 depth charges, it's 40. But I would like you just to make a note on this page that this page is 1B. 1B. So in your manual, this is going to be page 1. And then this page that I asked you to write out in your workbook or your jotter will be 1B. And I said to you that if you had 10 adjectives, it would be 40 ways to ask that question. For example, the first verb was, do you like to be here? Te gusta estar aquí? And I explained that estar was location. And then you answered, sí, absolutamente me gusta mucho estar aquí. And then you asked, the next person asked why? Porque te gusta mucho estar aquí? So the verb estar was being bounced back and forth. And then you answered, I like to be here because me gusta mucho estar aquí. I like a lot to be here because, and you could go, I think that it's fantastic to be here. I believe that it's fabulous to be here. For me, it's good to be here. And in my opinion, it's interesting to be here. So that was very important. So please write 1B on this page. So if I ever refer to page 1B, how to learn a verb, you know what I'm referring to. I'm just going to go down this list just to give you a few more adjectives that you can add onto your page, even though you know quite a lot of them already. So I'm just going to go down this list for you. So it's fantastico, fabuloso, you know these already, from describing the wine. Divino, maravilloso, bueno, bad, malo, barato, cheap, caro, expensive, you know all these. Loco, crazy. Write a new one. Posible, P-O-S-I-B-L-E, possible. Impossible, impossible, I-M-P-O-S-I-B-L-E, impossible. Romantic, romantico, R-O-M-A-N-T-I-C-O. Dangerous, peligroso, P-E-L-I-G-R-O-S-O. Safe, seguro, S-E-G-U-R-O, seguro. Easy, fácil, F-A-C-I-L. Difficult, difícil, D-I-F-I-C-I-L. Those end in a consonant. It's one of the first times you've come across an adjective that ends in a consonant, because usually the adjective ended in an A, an O, or an E. Necessary, necesario, N-E-C-E-S-A-R-I-O, necesario. Remember to break up long words, syllabification, break it up. Necesario. Disgusting, asqueroso, A-S-Q-U-E-R-O-S-O. Boring, aburrido, A-B-U-R-R-I-D-O, boring. The antonym, fun, divertido, which you know already, D-I-V-E-R-T-I-D-O. Interesante, increíble, you already know those two. Excelente, you know. Horrible, horrible, you know. Terrible, terrible, you know. And the new one, emocionante, exciting. E-M-O-C-I-O-N-A-N-T-E, and that ends on E, it's neutral. So then, if you have 25 adjectives now, and your 4 depth charges, then you've got 100 sentences to learn a verb, which is amazing. Remember, initially you had 10, which was 40. Now, if you've got 25 of these, 25 times 4 equals 100. Remember, you're more than welcome to use the muy still, very, but we're still not going to use the negative no for now. We're doing the positive dialogue. I think that is very, choose your adjective, and then choose your verb list that you've got on the top of your page. Now, when you're learning your verbs, I just want to give you some nice sentences that you can write down to help you. I explained to you that the verb ser yesterday was to be, and ser was who you are when you said, I like to be, and your name. Where are you from? I like to be from South Africa. Me gusta ser de, from, and a country. It's your inherent qualities, remember? I like to be, me gusta ser responsible, responsable, intelligent, inteligente, and friendly, amigable. It's your profession, and you wrote that I like to be a student. Me gusta ser estudiante. So it was who you are, where you're from, your inherent qualities, and your profession. Now, obviously, as I explained prior, that the reason why we're learning ser, the infinitive verb, and please make a note in your jota, Shakespeare, to be or not to be, is ser or no ser. To be or not to be, Shakespeare. By the way, you also learned the verb estar is to be. You like to be here, and that's for location. So if you said, for example, you are pondering where to live, and you said, to be in Mexico or to be in Peru, you would say, estar en Mexico or estar en Peru. And then I gave you a few sentences to help you with learning this, but I would just like to give you a few more. If you know that ser is to be for a permanent basis, for example, your profession, it's also relationships. So if I repeat anything, just bear with me. Just make sure you know how to say this. For me, it's important to be with you. Para mí, and you must write it out. Para mí es importante estar, to be, location. With you is contigo, C-O-N-T-I-G-O. Even if you're speaking to a boy or a girl, contigo is one word with you. For me, it's important to be with you. Let's go for it. Para mí es importante estar contigo, because in my opinion, porque en mi opinión, it's incredible to be your friend. Es increíble Ser, S-E-R, ser, tu amigo. If you're a boy speaking. If you're a girl speaking, amiga. I'll do it again. For me, it's important to be with you because, in my opinion, it's incredible to be your friend. Para mí, es importante estar contigo porque, en mi opinión, es increíble ser tu amigo. Write that out. Or you could change incredible to fun, divertido, or necessary, necesario. You can use any adjective that's appropriate. Another good sentence to write out. I like a lot to speak because it's important to travel and understand the people. I like a lot to speak Spanish because it's important to travel and understand the people. Let's go. Remember, anytime you pause the video. Me gusta mucho hablar español porque es importante to travel, viajar, and comprender la gente. That just to show you how amazing your brain functions, that you can start interchanging things. So we can start interchanging different verbs together. And we're just dealing with the verbs at the bottom for now. You could even say, for me, it's important to speak Spanish. Para mí es importante hablar español because I think that it's important to live in Spain. Porque yo pienso que es importante vivir en España. Remember, to live is vivir. Or for me, it's important to go to Spain. Para mí es importante ir a España. And I was just going to repeat some mechanisms that I showed you before, just to keep you enthusiastic and having a belief in your ability. Never give any disbelief to what you're able to do in the future. Just remember, if you're giving airtime to a belief that is contradicting your desire, that desire will not come to pass. Not just with Spanish, with everything. No contradictory thought. Now, the reason also why I'm teaching you that ser is to be in its infinitive state is because when you go, I am, this information will emanate from ser. So when you say, I am, and your name, like if I say, I am Pedro, yo soy Pedro. And if I said, because for me, it's important to be Pedro, porque para mí es importante ser Pedro. It's just such a good collaboration. Even if you might say, but I don't think I'm going to say that in the future, but can you say that? That's the most important thing. If you say, for example, I'm a student, yo soy estudiante, because I like to be a student, porque me gusta ser estudiante. It's an incredible mechanism to develop. If you said, for example, I am a student, yo soy estudiante, because for me, it's important to be intelligent, porque para mí es importante ser inteligente. It's such a good collaboration, this. And when you say, for example, I like to be here, me gusta estar aquí, you know that in the future, we're going to go, I am here. It's going to be estoy, because you're going to know your EST. Remember, the oi is irregular. It's not the normal O that we're used to. So when you go, for example, I'm in Mexico, you go, yo estoy en Mexico, and I'll explain to you that I think yo pienso, and I believe yo creo, we'll use the yo when we conjugate. We'll do that in the future, but I just want to show you what will happen. What can materialize. So when you learn to say, I'm in Mexico, yo estoy en Mexico, because I like to be in Mexico, porque me gusta estar en Mexico. You can do a collaboration. It's amazing. When you say, I'm in Cuba, yo estoy en Cuba, because for me it's fun to be in Cuba, porque para mí es divertido estar en Cuba. I just have to show you, again, the importance of doing what we're doing in the correct alignment and in the correct stepping stones. It's always a cumulative, progressive sequence, you know, and our mental posture must always be upright. For example, if you said one more, because you know, when I get into something, I just go for it. If you said, I'm friendly in the future, you're going to go, Yo soy amigable. It's going to be permanent. You're going to go, yo soy, I am permanent. Yo soy amigable, because for me it's important to be friendly, porque para mí es importante ser amigable. And then you could continue to go, I think it's important to speak to people. Yo pienso que es importante hablar con la gente, etc. I really always need to adjust your mental posture to the alignment of a trajectory that leads to the manifestation of your desires fulfilled, always. And remember, the willingness to make mistakes is the precursor for you to get transformation. And I promise you, you'll always get smarter the way forward. We'll always get more in sync with what we're doing. Because remember, every small accomplishment that you do gives you the clarity and the insight to give birth to new accomplishments in the future. Now, because we've covered this dialogue, and the utterances, the adverbs, the why, because, and we've done this concept. And then I just taught you to say goodbye, adios, until later at the bottom, hasta luego, see you, te veo, take care, cuídate, we'll see each other, nos vemos, that you have a good day, que tengas un buen día. Just learn those phrases as they are. And the more I explain how this language works, you'll see exactly how I got to this. One little point I can give you, just to show you that anything is possible. When you've learned to say, I believe, as one of your depth charges, you learn to say, yo creo. So in the future, when you say to somebody, I believe you, what you do to somebody, because you can't say, I dance you, or I travel you, or I cook you, but you can say in English, I believe you, or I love you, or I need you, or I take you, or I pay you. So you can't say, I dance you, or I cook you, or I travel you. I just want to show you something. So when you say, I believe, which you've learned already, yo creo, when you say, I believe you, what's going to happen, you're going to put the te from te gusta, that te, that indirect object pronoun, in front. So you'll go like this, yo in brackets, yo te creo, I believe you. Remember, the yo is optional because of the O at the end of creo, as I explained. So you could say, I believe you, te creo, which means literally you, I believe. That's why Spanish people who speak English and their English is not perfect, they go, you I love, you I need, you I hug, you I kiss. They speak literally. But from an English perspective, when you say, I believe you, figuratively, you're going to go, te creo. But if you analyze it, literally it's you, I believe. But what's interesting, that te is what's going to go in front. So you can even make that note in your jota. Write this out. Yo te creo, or te creo, put the yo in brackets because the O on creo tells you. I just wanted to show you that little concept. It gets very exciting. Now, the reason why I see you is te veo, because in the months to come, you're going to learn that I see is yo veo. So if you say, I see the house, yo veo la casa. I see the beach, yo veo la playa. I see the girl, yo veo la chica. I see the boy, yo veo el chico. Or if someone's showing you a problem or something, and then you say, oh, I see, yo veo. It's very useful. But when you say, I see you, like I believe you is te creo, you put the te in front and you go, yo te veo, or you can leave out the yo, te veo, adios, because remember the O on veo is signifying that you're doing the action, so the O is optional. And that's, I just thought I would help you with this concept at the bottom when it says there, te veo. That's why the te was in front, and you could have said yo te veo, because that's where you're going in the future. When you become very highly intermediate, you'll learn to do actions to people. And then that te from te gusta, from that mental art gallery, that te is going to go in front of the action of what you do. And wait until we do, you see me, he sees me, I see them, and we do all the pronouns. It's like your own personal jigsaw puzzle where all the pieces are going to fit in beautifully, beautifully, like it's your own personal jigsaw puzzle, because you are committed and you have daily disciplined accountability. Because you want this, man. There's a deep passion within you, because you know how your life can improve by being able to be a prolific Spanish speaker. Okay, so we've done this section, we've done this section, and we've done this section as well. I've asked you to add on the adjectives onto page 1B. And I will, now and again, I will always revert back to what we've covered. Now, you know in your manual, and you know if you've only got your downloaded pages, here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And for those of you that have got your manual, there it is. Now, in your manual, go to the beginning of your manual with me. So this is only in the manual. Remember, when you print your manual, make sure that it's printed in color. Now, as I discussed in our last lecture, when you open up your manual, you've got some letters, keep turning. Then you've got a contents page. It says the content, guiding light A to F, and then layer 1, which is page 1, which you've already done. This was the beginning, page 1 of layer 1. And then I've got layer 2, layer 3. My chapters are called layers. Let's go to guiding light A. So it's in the front of your book. This. And there's guiding light A. Now take a color and highlight como es, how is. So even with your pages, I reminded you that on page 3, I wrote there como es, and I discussed that this como is an interrogative. So an interrogative is when you interrogate somebody with a question like, how is the food? Where do you live? What time is the train leaving? Who are you with? How are we going to pay? For how long are we going to be here? Those are questions. And the first interrogative that you should download is como, which is how. Now you're going to know that S is by saying S, all the way down. You're happy that S is for the food or the wine. It doesn't matter what the noun is, if it's masculine or feminine. S is, irrespective of a boy noun or a girl noun, feminine or masculine. So when you say how is, como es, you can now say how is the food. Como es la comida? How is the life here? Como es la vida aquí? How is the job? Como es el trabajo? How is the fruit? Como es la fruta? How is the city? Como es la ciudad? Because you've been learning, because you have a ravenous appetite, you've been learning your nouns on page 2. The way I taught you how to learn a noun, using pages 3 and 4, that thing of repetition, which is your most omnipotent tool for absorption. So when you say how is, for example, and you could ask anything, how is what? The nightlife. You can say, tell me, dime, or listen, oye, or well, pues, you can use your utterances, or so, entonces, ¿cómo es la vida nocturna aquí? How is the nightlife? Then you answer with your 4 depth charges. Para mí, la vida nocturna es buena. En mi opinión, la vida nocturna es fabulosa. Yo pienso que la vida nocturna es loca. Yo creo que la vida nocturna es maravillosa. You see, we can start communicating. Oh, by the way, I've got a lovely sentence for you to write out. Just write this out for me. I like a lot the city of Madrid. Me gusta mucho la ciudad de Madrid. Learn de is of. Because, ¿por qué? Then you must use your 4 depth charges and 4 different nouns. It's up to you. I'll give you an example. I like a lot the city of, and then any city. Me gusta mucho la ciudad de Madrid. Porque, for me, the food is delicious. Para mí, la comida es deliciosa. In my opinion, the music is excellent. En mi opinión, la música es excelente. I think that the work is good. Yo pienso que el trabajo es bueno. I believe that. Yo creo que the nightlife is crazy. La vida nocturna es loca. That's a cool sentence. I like the city of Madrid because, for me, in my opinion, I think that and I believe that, and you can use any noun that you want. Remember, the city is la ciudad. Any word that ends in dad is feminine. If you said, I like the university, universidad, any noun that ends in dad is feminine, and any noun that ends in sion is feminine. Remember, I like the song, Me gusta la canción. And don't forget those 2 irregulars on the masculine. The climate is el clima, it's masculine. So the climate is fantastic. El clima is fantástico. The day is fabulous. El día es fabuloso. So, remember, I asked you to highlight those 2 in green because they were exceptions. It was L, but it ended in an A. Okay, let's go back. So where you've got there, como es, please highlight como es. And as soon as you say como es, then you must say la or el, because you've learned that every time you say la or el, is S. It's S for irrespective of la or el. So when you say, how is, como es the fruit, la fruta, how is, como es the job, el trabajo, it's always S. And if you say como es, what must come after it automatically? La or el. You must know that because you've been learning with your exercises on page 3 and 4 when you said the food is, it's S, 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 S. So obviously when you go como es, what must come after? La or el, because on page 4, you also learn to say the wine S, 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 S. So when you say como es, make sure that it's la or el afterwards. So please highlight that in guiding light A. Now go to number 1 and highlight I like, me gusta, la, el, or a verb. That's what we've covered. You don't have to do esta and este yet. So that means that you can say I like any noun, me gusta la chica, me gusta el chico, me gusta la carne, me gusta el pollo, me gusta el trabajo, me gusta la canción. That's amazing. And then a verb. Now remember, what is a verb? Those are those things at the bottom of page 1. These doing words. That's what I mean. You must know these verbs. So that's what I meant by verb there. And you can make a note at the bottom of page 1. So then you can say, I like to do something. And then you must go through your verbs at the bottom of page 1. Here they are. You must know it. And remember, if you say I like a lot, it's me gusta mucho. The mucho is up to you. So you go, I like, me gusta mucho, to speak, hablar, to be here, estar, to work, trabajar, to dance, bailar, and reading your verbs, to sing, cantar, to think, pensar, to call, llamar, to travel, viajar, to eat, comer, to drink, beber, to understand, comprender, to believe, creer, to be clever, ser inteligente, to be responsible, ser responsable. I like to be your name, remember? I like to be, me gusta ser in your name, or I like to be from South Africa, me gusta ser de South Africa, and your profession, I like to be a student. Remember, me gusta ser estudiante. And then your IR verbs, I like to live here. Me gusta vivir. And then I like to go. Me gusta ir. I like to go to, up to you. The beach, la playa, a Mexico, no problem. So you must highlight on your guiding lights what we've covered. It's me gusta, la, el, or a verb. Now this a mí, make a note, that a mí is a decorative piece. You're not obligated to say it. It's optional. It just gives a bit of emphasis. So you can go like this. A mí me gusta la comida. A mí me gusta hablar español. A mí me gusta el restaurante. It's just a decorative piece. Literally, it just means, to me, I like. Some people use it on a daily basis and some people don't use it. And some people use it one day and the next day won't use it. Just get used to it. Don't analyze. Analysis leads to paralysis. Remember, you don't always have to understand how something works in order to use it. Remember, if that's the case, we wouldn't be able to leave our property. So you must also highlight this column is for I, and this column is for you. So there's you like, te gusta, and we've covered it. So you must highlight te gusta, la, el, and the verb. Don't worry about este and este at the moment. So that's when you ask, do you like? Remember, there's no word for do in Spanish. So then this, do you like la or el? That was what we did in our dialogue. Remember, the positive singular dialogue. Tell me, do you like a lot? A lot is up to you. And la or el, any noun that you wanted. Te gusta la or el. And then the other dialogue at the bottom was, do you like, te gusta, any verb? Do you like to speak, to eat, to dance, to live, etc.? And so you must highlight what we've covered. It's te gusta, la, el, or a verb. Now this red thing is the decorative piece for do you like. So it's going to be a ti. Do you like? A ti te gusta. Remember, you're not obligated to say it. It's a decorative piece for emphasis. So literally you're saying, to you, do you like the life? To you, do you like the job? To you, do you like the music? To you, do you like to speak, to eat, to work, to travel, to understand? It's optional. So the decorative piece for me is a mí, and the decorative piece for you is a ti. And get used to saying it, and sometimes you can leave it out too. There's no hard and fast rule here. It's just for emphasis. So then you can say, do you like the life here? A ti te gusta la vida aquí? And the answer, sí, a mí me gusta la vida aquí. Do you like to speak Spanish? ¿A ti te gusta hablar español? Answer, sí, a mí me gusta hablar español. Do you like to live here? ¿A ti te gusta vivir aquí? Answer, sí, a mí me gusta vivir aquí. And just make a note there, all the verbs at the bottom of page 1. Because very shortly, we're going to learn more verbs. So you need to know these verbs at the bottom of page 1. Please, I revel in the knowing of your delight to come when you witness your aspirations fulfilled. This is a team effort, man. We must work together. And there are 15 verbs to remind you at the bottom of page 1. So remind yourself when you go to the guiding light, A, where it says their verb, I like plus a verb, and do you like plus a verb. Just make a note, times 15, and where you are able to locate them at the bottom of page 1. Now, after page 1, you've got page 2, which was your noun list. Now, some of you will say after a week, but I know all my nouns. Well, in your manual, at the back of your manual, please make a note in your jotter. At the back of my manual, there are more noun pages for those of you that perhaps have finished the first noun page in a week. So make a note in your jotter. At the back of my manual, noun page 2 is on page 150, and this is what it looks like at the back of your manual. So at least you understand how the manual works. And on noun page 2, we have at the top family members. And remember, you'll notice with the sexes, if the granny is la abuela, the grandfather is el abuelo. Mainly with sexes, the A just becomes an O. Underneath family members is things in the home, clothing. On page 151, noun page 3, is a menu for you, and drinks at the bottom. Now on page 4, on page 152, are animals and colors. Page 153, places of work interest and vocabulary concerning professions and workplaces. On page 154, noun page 6 is sport, transport, things in the school, parts of the body. On page 155, things in a restaurant, useful expressions in a restaurant, hotel, airport, nature. In page 156 is an assortment of nouns. Now on page 157, it starts off with more adverbs, those words that end in mente, like we did in the beginning of our dialogue. Remember, when you said you like whatever, and you said yes, naturally, naturalmente, obviously, obviamente, absolutely, absolutamente, especially, especialmente, generally, generalmente, personally, personalmente, usually, usualmente, frankly, francamente. Because these words give you such confidence, and they just keep refilling your belief within yourself that you have that huge potential. And remember, as we've discussed, we need to believe in our potential so that we'll have massive work, action, and then the results come, which reinforces the belief within ourselves. So on page 157, there is a list of more adverbs for you to have fun with, because you know most of them from English. If you would like to highlight my favorites are definitely, definitivamente. I'm 7 going down the first column. Totally, totalmente, the third last one. Those two are my favorites. Because you can always say, definitely I'm going to do this, or totally, this place is amazing. I just love those two. But you'll find others that are amazingly useful, like logically, lógicamente, eventually, eventualmente. Exactly is amazing, exactamente. When someone says something, you can always go, oh, exactly, exactamente. Underneath that, there's some correlation between Spanish and English that I would like to disseminate to you. Words in English that end in Ik, like plastic, it becomes ico in Spanish. Like plastic will be plastico. Atlantic, Atlantico. Athletic, Atletico. Authentic, Autentico. Automatic, Automatico. Aren't they amazing for you to learn? Look at that list. Public, Publico. Romantic, Romantico. So I-C in English is ico. Then underneath that it says English words that end in O-U-S, like fabulous. It becomes O-S-O in Spanish, like fabulous, fabuloso, delicious, delicioso. So that's a great correlation. And there's some words there for you. Curious, curioso. Generous, generoso. Precious, precioso. And underneath that, many English words that end in O-R are the same. Actor, director, doctor, exterior, error, inventor, motor. And then at the end, most words that end in BLE are the same. So for example, we've already learned increíble, horrible, terrible from our first lecture. So there are a few more there. So I just wanted to show you how the back of the manual works. So you've got a lot more noun pages to work from. And then you've got more adverbs to work from. And then you've got that correlation of how English and Spanish works that just makes you feel good. So let's continue with our manual. So now where it says there, page 5, because on page 4, I explained to you how to learn a masculine noun, remember? Where you learned your 4 debt charges. And that sentence, I like a lot, the wine, because for me, the wine is, remember, that was your preparation for our positive singular dialogue on page 1. That was the preparation. I just want to go over page 5. I'll just give you my advice on how to handle this. Now, with numbers, you can't really spend too much time understanding why numbers are the way they are. This is just really a case of repetition, you know. I wouldn't spend too much time every day on numbers, but I'd say the numbers once a day and then just leave it. Don't try and remember it and just say it again and again and again. As we know, repetition is the mother of learning, the father of action, and unequivocally the architect of accomplishment. The architect of accomplishment. So I'll just encourage you, first, learn 1 to 10. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. When you know 1 to 10, then learn 10 to 20. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1 to 20. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get it. When you're ready and you've done 1 to 20, then you move on. I'll just go over again, 10 to 20. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now, when you've got 1 to 20, learn the 10s, 30, 30, 40, 40, 50, 50, 60, 60, 70, 70, 80, 80, 90, 90, and 100. When you know those, 20, 30, 40, 50, then you can go and do 21, 22, 23, 31, 32, 33, because you'll know 1 to 10 from the preceding undertaking. And as it says there, 21, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. You see, you're using 2 to 9 that you learned initially. So when you learn 30, for example, 30, and then you can go 31, 32, 33, 34. So I encourage you first to learn 1 to 10, 10 to 20, when you're ready, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. And then after that, you fill in the numbers 21, 22, 35, etc. And when you know 1 to 100, then we can go for the big numbers. Days of the week. Lunes, martes, halfway down the page, page 5. Miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. Seasons, el verano, el invierno, la primavera, el otoño. Months, enero, febrero, marzo, abril, mayo, junio, julio, agosto, septiembre, octubre, noviembre, diciembre. Muy bien. Bueno, vamos a continuar. I'm so elated that I showed you how the guiding light works and what to work on, and how the noun pages work at the back of the book. Amazing. When you are ready and you have learned those 15 verbs at the bottom of page 1, I need to show you something. So make a note in your jotter. When I know the 15 verbs at the bottom of page 1, only when I know the 15 verbs at the bottom of page 1 right, I need to learn this verb. Make a heading in your notebook. The verb is spelled P-O-D-E-R, poder. That means to be able. It's the first time you've come across a verb that is 3 words in English, because I told you 99% of them mean 2 words in English. Now, from a Spanish perspective, when they learn English, they think it means to can. To can. So it really would be 2 words if we did things literally. To can. But it doesn't make fluidity sense from an English perspective, to can. That's why when Spanish people are speaking English, and the English isn't 100% perfect, because English is not easy, they speak like this in English. I can to see you tomorrow. I can't to eat the meat. You can to dance with me. You can to take me to the city. That's how they speak English, because they learned poder as to can. But from an English perspective, it's much better for us, for fluidity, to learn it as to be able. To be able, much better. Because if you learn it as to can, and I want to give you an explanation how to learn this, it won't make sense to learn this as to can. It must be to be able. And it's the first verb that you've learned that is 3 words in English. But literally it would be to can, but I'm not into that concept. I want to teach you a much better concept to liberate your capacity to understand what's going on. So it's to be able, poder. Make this note. I'll dictate. I need to put this verb behind any other verb that I've learned previously. I need to put this verb behind any other verb that I have learned previously. For example, now write this example. You know how to say, I like to speak Spanish. So write it out. Me gusta hablar español. You know your first verb here, hablar. Write it out. Me gusta hablar español. And then write this sentence now. I like to be able to speak Spanish. Me gusta poder hablar español. And write it out in Spanish and in English. And then take a color and highlight poder in a color to be able with the same color, and change your color and highlight hablar in a color, and then to speak in a different color. And in the third color, highlight I like, me gusta, and then in Spanish and English. I like to be able, because you could just say, I like to speak Spanish. Me gusta hablar español. But now I learn to say, I like to be able to speak Spanish. Me gusta poder hablar español. And with you, you've learned that. Contigo, C-O-N-T-I-G-O. And I like a lot to be able to speak Spanish with you. Me gusta mucho poder hablar español contigo. So put mucho in brackets if you want to use it. Me gusta mucho poder hablar español contigo, my friend, mi amigo, if it's a boy, and my friend to a girl, mi amiga. Then because you've learned how to say to somebody, do you like to speak Spanish? Write that out that you've learned already in lecture 2. Te gusta hablar español, which means, do you like to speak Spanish? Te gusta hablar español, and then write out the English version and the Spanish version. Do you like to speak Spanish? Te gusta hablar español? And underneath, write this out. Do you like to be able to speak Spanish? Te gusta poder hablar español? Do you like to be able to speak Spanish? And highlight the poder in the same color as before, English, Spanish. Do you like a lot to be able? You put the mucho in, it's up to you. Te gusta mucho poder hablar español. And you know, mucho never changes after do you like and I like. It's mucho, never mucho, muchas, muchos. And do that game with every single verb here. There's 15. Every one, man. Just do it. Commitment represents the launching pad of accomplishment. I will take you all the way to the fulfilling culmination that you need if you just follow the way I'm going with you and put the time in. The genesis of you becoming a prolific Spanish speaker has started. The genesis has started. So that example I gave you, you must do now to all these verbs. So the second verb here is to be, estar. So then, because you know how to say, as the example, do you like to be here? Te gusta estar aquí. Now write out, do you like to be able to be here? Te gusta poder estar aquí. And answer, I like to be able to be here. Me gusta poder estar aquí. Then the third verb, to work, write it out. Do you like to be able to work here? Because you know how to say, do you like to work here? Te gusta trabajar aquí. So now say to the guy or the girl, do you like to be able to work here? Te gusta poder trabajar aquí. Then answer, I like to be able to work here. Me gusta poder trabajar aquí. Same thing with to dance. You can say, do you like to dance? Te gusta bailar. Do you like to be able to dance? Te gusta poder bailar. And then answer, I like to be able to dance. Me gusta poder bailar. I like a lot. Me gusta mucho. Now also remember with your guiding lines, in front of te gusta, you can use your decorative piece, a ti. It's in your guiding lines. A ti te gusta poder. That's up to you. Get used to it sometimes. And in front of me gusta, you can go a mí me gusta. Remember the guiding lines. I showed you. You can put those things in. There they are. The decorative piece is, for me, is a mí, and for you is a ti, because there it says verb. Now, in your guiding lines, make a note. Where it says there, me gusta verb, just make a note. Poder, write poder there, P-O-D-E-R. Poder plus a verb. And here, do you like with a verb? Just put there, te gusta, poder, P-O-D-E-R, plus a verb. Just in case you forget. You can put poder in front. You can start a sentence with, do you like? But then go, do you like to be able, put poder behind the other verb that you've learned, like we're doing now in the example. So the next verb here is to sing. So then you must go here, cantar. You know how to say to the guy, do you like to sing? Te gusta cantar. But now you must know how to say, do you like to be able to sing? Te gusta poder cantar. I like to be able to sing. Me gusta poder cantar. Do you like to be able to think? Just say it. Te gusta poder pensar. I like to be able. Me gusta poder pensar. Do you like to be able to call here? Te gusta poder llamar aquí? Yes, sí, me gusta mucho poder llamar aquí. Do you like to be able to travel? Te gusta poder viajar? Sí, me gusta poder viajar. I'm just going down the list. Do you like to be able to eat here? Te gusta poder comer aquí? Sí, me gusta poder comer aquí. Do you like to be able to drink here? Te gusta poder beber aquí? Yes, I like to be able to drink here. Sí, me gusta poder beber aquí. Do you like to be able to understand the people? Te gusta poder comprender la gente? Sí, me gusta comprender. Sorry, I like to be able. Me gusta poder comprender la gente aquí. Do you like to be able to believe? Te gusta poder creer? Yes, sí, me gusta poder creer. Do you like to be able to be a student? Te gusta poder ser estudiante? Yes, I like to be able to be a student. Sí, me gusta poder ser estudiante. Because for me, it's important to speak. Porque para mí es importante hablar, or to work in Mexico, trabajar en Mexico, or to travel, viajar. I mean, you can just have fun. Do you like to be able to live here? I'm doing the IR verbs. ¿Te gusta poder vivir aquí? Yes, naturally. Sí, naturalmente. I like a lot. Me gusta mucho to be able, poder, to live, vivir aquí. Because, ¿por qué? And then you give your 4 depth charges with your nouns. Yo pienso que la música es buena. Yo creo que el dinero es bueno. En mi opinión, la gente es fabulosa. Yo creo que the weather, el tiempo es bueno, maravilloso, estupendo. Amazing. Do you like to be able to go to the beach? ¿Te gusta poder ir a la playa? Yes, I like to be able to go to the beach. Sí, me gusta poder ir a la playa. I tell you, on the journey upwards, when you start doing things in the journey upwards, like, I want to be able to, I'm going to be able to, I need to be able to speak Spanish. I'm telling you, poder will already be embedded in your neurological system because your neurological pathways are lubricated with sound and rhythm. Remember, we always needed to unblock the path that arises from academical perplexity with a plunger of rhythm development. Otherwise, you'll be in a round room looking for a corner to cry in. Amen. Now, when you pose that question, by the way, going back to this dialogue, remember, do you like to be here? Yes, I like to be here. Why do you like to be here? And then you answered, I like to be here because, but then I made you write out that page. Remember page 1B? Go to page 1B that you've done. Page 1B, how to learn a verb. You wrote that on your own, page 1B. Now you've got over 100 ways to learn a verb. Remember, I like to speak Spanish because I think that it's fantastic to speak Spanish. I like to eat here because for me it's cheap to eat here. You know what I'm talking about. Just make a note here. Write out poder here. P-O-D-E-R. Write it there. P-O-D-E-R. I'll also write it here. Put it down. Write poder and write above it, to be able. So you can put poder in front of the other verbs because you know above this arrow, you've got all your 15 verbs there. So then you can do things like this. I think that yo pienso que it's fantástico to be able to speak. Poder hablar español. Or for me, para mí, it's fabulous, es fabuloso to be able to work here. Poder trabajar aquí. Or in my opinion, en mi opinión, it's marvelous, es maravilloso to be able to be here. Poder estar aquí. Or to be able to be a student. Poder ser estudiante. Oh, please put poder there. It must go all the way down. Poder must go there, and it must go behind one of the other verbs that you've learned. It's huge. And then in our next lessons, I'll practice it with you and see how well you're doing. What's interesting is that poder is to be able, but it's so fascinating that it can also be a noun. So when you go to page 2, just add on el poder at the top here, el poder. Now, when you say el poder, sorry, el poder, and it's that means the power. I find it fascinating. The power is el poder. And it's also to be able in an infinitive state. When you use poder as a verb, it's just poder. But if you put el in front of poder, it's the power. What a revelation that to be able is also the noun, the power. You know, when I figured this out, I just wanted to share it with everybody I knew who was learning Spanish. Because, you know, and as I've mentioned, if any of you have a temperamental proclivity to be a teacher, because a lot of people want to start teaching English online, because you've got the whole of South America and Spain, and I mean, the market is so big to teach Spanish people English. If you just understand how things work, you'll be such a more effective teacher. You know, if you want to teach and that's something that you would like to do, then you're on your way. Teaching is an amazing profession. Oh, you'll be filled with serotonin and dopamine and oxytocin every day. You'll feel good. Now, when you help people, you feel good. Eh? So, write out el poder as you've done, the power, as I've asked you to, el poder, and then just make a sentence. Write this out in your notebook. The power of God. El poder de Dios. So de can be of. You've learned that de is from when you said, I like to be from South Africa. Me gusta ser de South Africa. But de is from and of. So if you just write out a sentence, the power of God. El poder de Dios. Because Dios is God. Remember when you say goodbye, you say adios. You're actually saying to God, you know? Adios. The power of God. El poder de Dios is powerful. Write that out. Es poderoso. P-O-D-E-R-O-S-O. So the adjective powerful is poderoso. The power is el poder. The power of God is powerful. El poder de Dios es poderoso. That's a new adjective for you, by the way. Poderoso. It's a great adjective. And you can even add on that adjective on your list of how to learn a verb. Poderoso. Put it there. Powerful. Underneath exciting. You've already written all this out. Because you can go, I think that it's powerful to be able to speak Spanish. Yo pienso que es poderoso poder hablar español. Or I think that it's powerful to speak Spanish. But what an amazing collaboration of using to be able and the adjective of powerful, man. Yo pienso que es very powerful. Use muy. Yo pienso que es muy poderoso to be able to speak Spanish. Poder hablar español. Because for me, it's important to understand the people, porque para mí es importante comprender la gente. For me, it's important to live in Mexico. Para mí es importante vivir en México. I think that it's interesting to go to Cuba. Yo pienso que es interesante ir a Cuba. I'm just having fun with what you've learned. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you for your time. Gracias por tu tiempo. I hope that you are a little bit more tuned in, tapped in, and turned on. And I revel in the knowing of your delight to come. I look forward to seeing you soon in the next lecture. Adios, te veo.